Today, I want to talk about Holland's unique upgrade. Now, like all unique upgrades in World of Warships, this little dude will cost you 19,200 research points. And that's a lot. On top of that, it actually results in a reduction in torpedo DPM. And for a lot of players, that makes even discussing this leg mod a non-starter. But what if it wasn't quite as simple as that? Hey everybody, my name is Clyde. Let's get into it. Halland is the original pan-European Tier 10 tech tree destroyer. She's primarily a torpedo destroyer featuring 15-kilometer torps that reload in 100 seconds, travel at a base speed of 86 knots, and they do a maximum of 10,700 hit points of damage. She's also equipped with 4 120mm guns that reload in just 2 seconds, and she boasts the 9th and 11th best HE and AP DPM figures of all Tier 10 destroyers in the game, respectively. Her HE shells pen just 20mm of armor, but that's honestly plenty for skirmishing with other destroyers, and that happens a lot because she has good but not great concealment at just 6 kilometers and no smoke generator to go vanished when she needs to get vanished, to go dark when she needs to. While Halland is not the best gunfighter at her tier, her fast-firing guns are paired with a hull repair, and that helps her stay in the fight longer than her health meter would otherwise indicate. Overall, I found that revisiting Halland for this video was a lot of fun. Leg mod or no, this is a good little ship. Halland's leg mod is called Advanced Mechanical Maintenance, and it fits into the ship's 6th upgrade slot. Most players choose Torpedo Tubes Modification 2 here, and for comparison, this video assumes that's what you have installed on your Halland as well. If you decide to go for the leg mod, it's important to understand the total cost versus the total benefit. And here is a summary of what you get and what you give. Like all leg mods, as I mentioned, it costs 19,200 research points, and that's not exactly cheap. If you want to learn more about how to earn research points, you can check out my video on that topic, which I'll put right over here. The link is in the description of this video. When the topic of Halland's leg mod comes up, people claim that it's trying to make the ship more of a gunboat. And while I think that's sort of true, this leg mod is actually focused solely on boosting the ship's survivability. The unique mod gives you an additional charge of the hull repair and the speed boost consumable. And not only that, but when you're boosting your speed, it goes to 16% improved instead of 8% improved over your base speed. And that extra maneuverability can be the difference between taking hits and dodging them. In the game client, the third element of this leg mod is described thusly: HP restoration efficiency when using repair party consumable plus 25%. Now that doesn't mean that you heal 25% more. The amount of healing, the duration, and the cooldown of the repair party is identical with and without the leg mod. Without the leg mod, Halland may take 3,000 damage, and 1,500 hit points of that damage is healable provided that you still have an unused repair party. The other 1,500 hit points can never be healed back, and that means that the ship has a 50% HP restoration efficiency. With the leg mod equipped, your restoration efficiency is buffed to 75%. And this means that when you take that same 3,000 points of damage, only 750 of those hit points are unhealable. The other 2,250 can be restored through usages of the repair party consumable, provided you still have one. By itself, this is probably not all that special, but since the leg mod also gives you that bonus charge of hull repair, these two buffs work in concert to make this ship a lot more damage resistant, or maybe a lot more death resistant is a better way to say that. But how can we know for sure? Well, as usual, on this channel, I've done an experiment. As I've done for other videos in my leg mod series, I play a run of 20 games, 10 with and 10 without the leg mod. When I'm done, I review the data and select the best metrics which illustrate the change of the ship's performance in my experience. Of course, this study is based on a fairly small data set. It's just 20 games, and a different player with a different skill level, a different playstyle, or even just more data could reveal different results. For Halland, I tracked and calculated 20 different ship performance metrics. I never played more than 3 consecutive games in either configuration, either leg mod or non-leg mod, before swapping to the other to make sure that both got a fair shake as I was refamiliarizing myself with playing the ship. And by the end of the study, I started to see some performance trends take shape. And they took shape, I should say, in 3 distinct areas: survivability, combat effectiveness, and battle impact. First, let's take a look at survivability. So my average survival time in Halland was consistently higher with the unique upgrade equipped. At first glance, it looks like I lived an average of 2 minutes and 17 seconds longer, despite the fact that I was spotted more. I was spotted a lot more, because when I had the UU equipped, I fired an average of 292 main battery shells, but without the leg mod, I only fired an average of 132. Since Halland has no smoke module, that means I was visible to my enemies in many, many more minutes of gameplay. But before we get too excited about the 2 minute and 17-second survivability figure, let's remember that not all matches of World of Warships are created equally in terms of duration. When we calculate the percentage of a battle survived, my non-leg mod Halland lived 85% of the match, whereas when I had the UU installed, I survived 89.5% of the battle's duration. If we average out the total length of all 20 battles, not just how long I lived, but how long the games lasted, that extra 4.5% of survival time works out to be about 39 more seconds of gameplay. And as we move into discussing combat effectiveness, we're going to see how this increased survival time pays dividends for the final scoreboard as well. I am a fairly average player. I am not exceptionally good at World of Warships. So if your skills vastly exceed mine, or maybe if you're like a new player who's still getting the hang of your Halland, your results could be quite a bit different from my own. But this study still confirmed what I think a lot of players would have assumed. When I had Torpedo Tubes Modification 2 installed, that is, without the leg mod, I fired and landed more torpedoes. Not only did I fire more torpedoes per match, I also fired more torpedoes per minute, and that takes into account the shorter time to live for the non-UU Halland. As we move into the guns, it's a very, very different story. And this is interesting because, as I said at the top of the video, the unique upgrade does not buff or adjust Halland's guns in any way. There's no improved reload, there's no range boost, there's no damage boost, and there's no more penetration. The only difference is that the ship itself is more durable, and that gives you the confidence to open up the guns and use them more often. Since gun damage tends to develop more consistently throughout a game than torpedo damage, it shouldn't come as a surprise that with the unique upgrade installed, I averaged more damage per match. And perhaps more accurately, calculating the average damage per minute survived reveals that the unique upgrade resulted in an increase of 164 damage per minute survived. Again, and that survived is important. If we utilize our average game duration, average survival time, and the realized average damage per minute, this is complicated, I hope you're following me here, we can calculate the difference in projected damage per game between the two builds. So take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. It is a projected value based on 3 averages, and they're all based on my personal player performance. The gap between these two exists due to the increased survivability with the leg mod and the more consistent performance of the guns over the torpedoes. While I launched and landed more torpedoes without the leg mod, I still managed to land 4.1 torpedoes per match with the leg mod, and that is nothing to sneeze at. Although not specifically combat or damage focused, I also traveled a lot farther in matches where I had the leg mod equipped. Not only is your speed boost 16% instead of 8%, but you also get an extra charge of the consumable. Now it's possible that some of this running around is a result of using the speed boost to duck and dodge shells when gunboating, but I definitely use this in some battles to redeploy to spaces where I could be more effective and support my team develop more damage and push for more caps. In terms of per game battle impact, in both configs, I won 6 of my 10 games. And in the unique upgrade configuration, my average position on the scoreboard was higher, as was my base XP. But because this dataset is just 20 games, I wouldn't take these specific per game metrics too seriously. It's just too small of a dataset for these kinds of figures to have really settled into a proper average. With a different player at the helm, with a different set of teammates, we may have seen very, very different results. Overall, I do think that the leg mod is probably a better option for Halland than most people in the WoWs community give it credit for, because it turns out that torpedo DPM is not the only god in the pantheon of battle impact. Surviving for more minutes of gameplay, especially in a destroyer, lets you take more actions, dish out more damage, and simply have more battle impact. And you want to have as much battle impact as possible, because then you control more of your destiny. I don't think this unique upgrade is necessarily about making Halland more powerful. Yes, it worked out that way for me, but it may or may not for you. I just think it's a whole new way to experience Halland, and it feels rather different than the base ship, and I found this build to be a lot of fun to play, though that could just be down to my personal preference for gunboat destroyer play. Is this legendary mod tempting enough for you to spend your hard-earned research points on? Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you might be considering the Halland leg mod. If you like this video, come by and catch us live at twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive. And until next time, be cool, be nice, and we will see you in our next live stream video or Battle Captains. Take care.